The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and/or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hooray for Hollywood, where stars are living large, in mansions with their servants and their credit cards in charge, with fame that's fleeting, but the egos never change, where everyone's a genius, except the ones who really arrange. Hooray for Hollywood, where the scandals always sell, where every whispered secret is a new tabloid's tell. Oh, how we adore the endless red carpet galore. Hooray for Hollywood, where less is always more.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast, Damn You Hollywood. And here's your host, Robert Winfrey.
Yay. Thanks, Mark. How you doing? You doing okay?
I am tired of being physically sick. Been sick since my birthday.
Oh, jeez, I'm sorry.
Nice.
Yeah, like, and I just start to get over it, and then it, like, goes back again, and so, you know, I don't know. I keep hoping, like, I'm gonna get better, but this is one of those lingering coughs.
Mm.
I gotta ask you, Mark, are you always going to wear black shirts? Because with the black background, you basically look like a giant floating head. I'm sorry.
Alexis Hannah, everyone, filling in her usual role. I'd like to divert our attention to Ben. How are you doing, Ben?
How's it going, everybody?
Hey, we missed you on Woman of Tomorrow when we reviewed the book. What happened?
I know. What happened is I suck.
You do not suck. Come on.
I have since read the that's one of the main reasons why I didn't like jump on. Like I had for a lot of reasons, but like the main reason is because I didn't read the book in time. But I have now read Woman of Tomorrow to at least like prepare me for what we're going to be talking about tonight.
All right, what are we talking about tonight, Robert?
You may be able to intuit from that, but we are talking about James Gunn's Supergirl.
Supergirl is a 2026 superhero film based on the DC comic character, directed by Craig Gillespie, from a screenplay by Ana Nogueira, her first as I understand it. Produced by DC Studios as James Gunn and Matthias Schoenaerts, it is the second theatrical entry in the DC universe. Millie Alcock stars as Kara Zor-El alongside Matthias Schoenaerts, Eve Ridley, Dave Krumholtz, Emily Beecham, David Corenswet, and Jason Momoa. Adapted from Tom King and Bilquis Evely's acclaimed Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, as we were just talking about, the film follows Kara on a galaxy-spanning quest for vengeance that ultimately forces her to confront grief, justice, and her own identity. A standalone Supergirl project had been in development during the DC Extended Universe era after Sasha Calle's debut in The Flash, but Gunn and Safran rebooted the concept following their appointment as co-heads of DC Studios in 2022. Filmed in England and Scotland during early 2025, Supergirl premiered in Brooklyn on June 22nd and opened nationwide on June 26th as part of the DCU Chapter One, Gods and Monsters. Received mixed reviews from critics and has grossed approximately, we'll talk about this later, 63 million worldwide to date. Yeah. So I know, like, you're a big Superman guy, you're a Spider-Man guy from what I recall of our previous comic book adventures. Ben, why don't you tell me your relationship to the character Supergirl, which books you've read, how far back the history goes, etc.
I'm not as well versed in Supergirl as I am with some other things, but I've read a few stories here and there, mostly the ones that are more like commonly known. The arc that she had in Batman Superman comic that was drawn by like the late great Michael Turner. That was a great story that was adapted into the animated movie Batman Superman Apocalypse. also Supergirl in the '90s Superman animated series. I loved it. All of the episodes that she was in. I've read a little bit of Peter David's run on Supergirl. Very little, but a tiny bit, and a little bit of the run with in the, I want to say 2000s, maybe early 2010s by Sterling Gates and Jamal Igo, who I'm big fans of both of them. And even farther back than that, like I saw the 84 or 86 Supergirl movie.
84.
Was it 84? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Peter O'Toole and Faye Dunaway. What a classic.
That made it made the rounds on syndicated TV. So if it was on on a Saturday afternoon, it's we took what we could get in the 80s as far as superhero movies. So that's what, if it was on, I watched it.
So Alexis and I reviewed Being Super. We also, I think, reviewed one season of the Melissa Benoist TV show.
That too, by the way, I missed that one, but some of I think the first few seasons of the show too.
I think I watched that up to COVID, and then I kind of lost track of all the CWDC stuff. I think
it ends with her donning an Iron Man suit and punching John Cryer in the face.
Fair. Like I said, I don't think I ever finished it, but I started to watch it on CBS, and I followed it all the way into their iteration of Crisis on Infinite Earths, which had to have been shortly before COVID. Jesse and I also reviewed the Jeff Loeb run, which the trade is called Power. Sean and I reviewed the '84 Supergirl movie, so fair amount of Supergirl on here. I'm just curious, of all the movies that have come out this year or are coming out, why this one in particular did you want to jump on then, besides comic book?
Well, okay, so then I have nothing to say then.
Yink! Think of something better.
No, I had, I've heard good things. I was on when we talked about James Gunn's Superman last year. I really loved that movie. I was excited with the Supergirl cameo at the end, and I was interested in this movie. And when it was pretty sure that they were adapting, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which I had been meaning to read for a very, very long time. I finished reading it 2 days ago, but I'd flip through it. Like, I adore the artwork in it. The story seemed like it was pretty well. I mean, it was a little bit polarizing, and for a couple of reasons we'll probably get into. But that was what kind of intrigued me the most, was that a lot of people had been calling it like one of the better Supergirl stories in years, or at least one of the
I gotta ask,
impactful.
What's your opinion on Tom King in general? Because Tom King is either loved or people are writing him death threats. It's one or the other.
He's very hit and very miss, in my opinion. When he's hit, he hits hard. When he misses by many, many miles. I liked some of his. I actually liked a lot of his Batman run until they got to the point. The part that I hate when any writer on any superhero comic reaches, and that's the point where editorial tells them no further. Your character progression ends right here, and there was a hard, brick wall, that hit in about Batman number 50.
The wedding. I remember it well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And and it was basically what I experienced with Spider-Man, where it's like, you can be exactly this happy, and then we have to take it all away from you. And
that was my complaint.
I'm just really not with that, and that's where I kind of stopped. I read a tiny bit of his Vision miniseries, which seems pretty fondly remembered.
Oh, yeah, that I loved.
Yeah, I gotta finish that. I heard good things. It seemed, I read through the first issue a little bit. It seemed interesting. I know he's polarizing for a lot.
Were you one of the people calling for his death after what he did to Wally West in Heroes in Crisis?
No, well, I didn't read that, but I wouldn't do that. I get.
Would you object to people do you wouldn't do it, but do you understand people?
Are you a sympathizer?
Those of us at the Rattleage Broadcasting Network are not necessarily calling for Tom King's head. Roll the disclaimer again.
The closest I've ever come to that with anything even remotely related to comics is James Franco's Harry Osborn. Like that's the closest I've ever come to like wishing something happened to somebody.
Okay.
Well, something did happen. The man's been pretty much blacklisted from Hollywood.
Just means you were ahead of the curve.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With all of that out of the way, Robert, why don't you get into a very quick plot synopsis?
Yeah, we follow, as mentioned, Kara Zor-El. We have Supergirl. She is out partying because she is. She goes to planets with red suns so that she has no powers and can live like a normal person. I mean, just get drunk. Just get completely plastered. Then go to a yellow sun so she can avoid all the messy complications from alcoholism and alcohol poisoning and hangovers and all the things that, go into that. And then she can go party some more. And somewhere along the way on one of the planets she stops at, the bad guys show up and they kill a nice family except for one girl who gets to stand tragically in the middle of a hallway watching the whole thing happen. And the villain looks at her and goes, "You won't be a problem," and then leaves after violently murdering everyone else. And like all villains who do this, he is very wrong. So this poor girl is wandering around delivering her full name and title medieval style, saying that she is looking to go on a quest for vengeance. And she stumbles into a bar that the Mos Eisley Cantina, which is 80% of this movie's aesthetic. And Kara doesn't want to help her, but then Kara saves her from her sword getting stolen because there's a big alien who wants to steal her sword and go away because this is a wretched hive of scum and villainy. She saves her from that and sort of gets, the usual bit of, well, you're hanging around and I start to sympathize with you and eventually I wind up helping you. That's the arc here. Well, the bad guys also show up and steal Kara's ship while she's arguing with the child. So now she's motivated. They get on a bus because there's intergalactic buses.
You completely skipped to the main plot motivator. Phew. Arf.
Oh yeah, the dog gets shot with a poison that conveniently takes 3 days to take full effect. And we don't just take the dog to a yellow sun because then the movie couldn't happen.
Yes, well.
So
also,
Crypto is poisoned, and
that's how the book goes.
Well, they also mentioned that if she takes him into space or something something about the travel will accelerate the poison, and it'll be too hard on him.
Yeah, either way, it's a plot point from the book. Move on.
So this is what this is why this is how we get to save on money, so we don't have to have Crypto around complicating things. Because her trying to wrangle 2 unruly animals would just be too much. So Crypto is out of the picture. She goes with Ruthie to try and get the antidote from the evil guys. They get waylaid on the bus, so Kara gets to show off that she's super, because they're near a yellow sun now, so she can do that. They wind up on another planet, where they encounter Lobo. He's here. He's Lobo.
Hello,
shows
kids.
up again.
Say hello to Extraneous Cameo. Hello!
Yeah, Lobo, everybody.
Say hello to Jason Momoa.
It was the equivalent of in Jay and Silent Bob when Mark Hamill showed up, and it's like, hey, kids, it's Mark Hamill! Clap! Keep going, Robert.
James Gunn actually said that the minute it was announced that he took over Warner Brothers, the very first message he got was from Momoa just with the word Lobo. It's like he wasted no time reaching out to Gunn.
Yeah, because why would Jason Momoa want to, act as something other than what he's been doing for the last 20 years? So they mess around for a little bit. Again, we get some misdirection. They get sold out by people trying to get their daughter back from the bad people who are evil sex traffickers, because of course they are. And there's just a couple of action set pieces. Ultimately, They wind up on the planet where the bad guys are, which has a green sun as well as a yellow sun. It's a binary system. You ever been to one of those, Mark? Sorry, that's a
Yes.
deep cut reference, and I feel bad for making it.
Wait, was
Yeah,
that a freaking Invader Zim reference?
Thank you for understanding my obscure references.
Quiet or I'll eat your head.
So close.
Because green suns are bad for Kryptonians, apparently. So they wait 20 minutes for the green sun to set and the yellow sun to rise, and then there's the big final fight sequence. Lobo kills the guy he's there to kill, who's not the guy we're actually after, because Lobo. We get, again, Supergirl beating everybody to the tunes of a cover of Jimmy Eat World of all songs.
The song's called The Middle, by the way.
I'm aware of the song title, thank
Okay.
you. Kara talks Ruthie out of stabbing the bad guy, then sends her away, and then stabs the bad guy repeatedly, including in the neck, with no blood. Then, sprinkled throughout this, we get her backstory. She's not just from Krypton. Her father created the portal, the force field that sealed off the city of Argo, which is the last bit of Krypton. But something about the core explosion started the kryptonite process, and now they're all stuck in there with it, so everyone in Argo is slowly dying of radiation poisoning. They sent her off. She's on Earth. She's with Clark, having a grand old time. And, of course, because this is like 95% of all modern movies, this is all about overcoming trauma. And she then makes up with the girl. They have a good time. They save the dog, because, of course, they saved the dog. She goes back to Earth and says to Clark, this does feel like home now. I can click my ruby slippers and just, there's no place like home.
Terrific. So, Ben, how did you feel they adapted Woman of Tomorrow to the screen?
I think they did a pretty good job, actually. Just on the biggest like bullet points of what were the most impactful parts of the story. They kind of hit them in pretty good succession, and they jettisoned a couple of it's an 8-issue series, so they had some things had to go just for the sake of keeping it linear, I guess. So. Some of I think the things that they took out were necessary. The things they kept in worked. I was a little bit surprised they kept the whole green sun part. They kind of merged that into the last chapter of the comic. And the things that they added, the captive girls and there's gonna be even in this podcast, but I'm the two things I hear comparisons to the most with this movie are Mad Max Fury Road and True Grit. It's it's like a mishmash of those two, more than anything else, and I guess a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy because it's it's James Gunn's bread and butter.
Can I ask you about the way that she dispatches the villain? Because in the comic book, he's sent to the Phantom Zone, and they do a Black Mirror, White Christmas, I think it's called, where he's just in the Phantom Zone. It was the first some odd couple of decades. He's pissed, and then he just being there, being alone. He finally gets past it, and by the time they pull him out of the Phantom Zone, he's an old man. And he's just I'm sorry. I know that's what you wanted to hear, and I'm prepared to tell you I am sorry. And then I think I don't remember what happens after that, but it's a satisfying enough ending where Ruthie doesn't kill him, Supergirl doesn't kill him. The whole point Supergirl tries to make to Ruthie is killing is bad, and this was a better way of handling it, and all's well that ends well. I would have thought that's what they should have done here. I think the way they did this removed the impact of that ending.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I wasn't crazy about how that went either. I think it's the trajectory of what they were trying to get across in the movie and in the comic were pretty similar, but they diverged a little bit. Mm-hmm. And in the comic, yes, it's absolutely Supergirl's trying to say killing is bad. In the movie, I think they changed in such a way where the message Supergirl was trying to get across was killing is bad for you.
Yeah.
Like, to Ruthie specifically. Killing is bad. Killing will mess you up.
Well, the theme is we should preserve your innocence for as long as possible. Not that life won't take it from you when it's good and damn ready. Which, like, to me, that was a very shallow, short-sighted ending. For that reason alone.
Maybe. I mean, the argument that I've heard and the argument that I haven't decided yet if I agree or not, but like the idea they seem to be getting across is that, like, you know, yeah, Kara's already messed up, so it's not gonna affect her in the same way to do what she was preventing Ruthie from doing. Is that a bad message? Maybe it is. It kind of depends on how you view, you know, that sort of justice or that sort of revenge, and how you thought the story was gonna go versus how it went.
Okay. All right, give me your notes on what you thought of the rest of the movie.
I had a good time. Like, I enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed it that, you know, it got lighthearted when it needed to. It got funny when it needed to. It got actiony when it needed to. It got serious when it needed to. I think there was a pretty good balance of those things. I loved Millie Alcock. Like, she was great. She gave a very good performance, and I think somebody that wasn't up to kind of balance and all that stuff probably would have hurt the movie even more. If you read the original comic, the whole narrative is Ruthie as an older woman, like, narrating what happens in that particular story. So it's mostly told from Ruthie's point of view. Supergirl is kind of like almost like a supporting character in Ruthie's story. Yep. In the comic, in the movie, not so much. So the focus gets shifted. The narrative focus gets shifted a little bit, and you have to deal with, you know, you have to take it as, you know, as that comes, and it's a little bit more conventional in that way. I kind of wish that they'd spend a little bit more time looking at things from Ruthie's point of view, like they did in the comic. But the way that it came out was pretty good. I think a lot is going to be made of, like, you know, the villains, so to speak. They're pretty, you know, they're kind of stock. You know, that's kind of by design because they're stock in the original story. And to that, I just kind of say, like, you know,
well, Krum wasn't perfect in the comic, but he had more character than this, whatever it was.
But also, like, my thing is, and, you know, this is grounds for discussion, but, like, not every villain needs to be a Machiavellian, you know, scheming, you know, monster that's playing three-dimensional chess. Like, some villains are just garden variety bastards, you know what I'm saying? Like,
sure.
So,
I
whether or not
I think the only problem that runs into in this one is you also wound up, for whatever reason, deciding to present them as an entire race of creatures that are only male. And I don't know why that would be. I mean, in universe, I don't know what the evolutionary advantage could possibly be to...
I don't know. They do it on the Orville with the Mocklins.
Look, yeah, but at the same time, I know there's also like a Star Trek episode where they played around with this.
Can I tag in here?
Yeah.
The better way to have done this is make Krem Darth Vader. That's it. He just had to be menacing. Be menacing, kind of walk in, have his goons get between him and Supergirl, and he keeps narrowly escaping, and then at the end, they have a big old fuck all fist fight. I mean, that a little bit more was all I was asking, Ben. A little bit more.
Okay.
And maybe don't have him decide that pie is the best thing to eat in his introduction.
Everybody watched Inglourious Bastards and thought that. Drink milk while you're introducing your intimidating self. That's the way to do it. Any other thoughts, Ben, on the movie before I shift over?
I will, the only other thing I have to say about it is Lobo, 100%. You could have pulled him. You could have pulled every bit of him out of this movie, and it wouldn't have changed a thing. But I enjoyed the scenes that he was in. So, like, being honest, yeah, he didn't need to be in this movie, but it was entertaining.
All right, Alexis. I wanted to hear your thoughts on the adaptation from book to screen.
I knew there was going to be a lot of changes because if Comet freaking showed up in the middle of the climax, I think more than a few audience members were suddenly going to utter a very loud, huh? So
I'd have laughed. Frankly, I thought the movie needed a unicorn of some sort.
So I knew there were going to be a fair amount of changes. I'm with you, though, that I do wish there was a little bit more color. Superman Woman of Tomorrow is a very stylized, at times very abstract comic book. They really play around with the design. Hell, the scene of her on the planet with the green sun looks like an acid trip. And I don't even know if that's supposed to be kind of what she's seeing as she's, being slowly poisoned to death, or if she is really surrounded by that much bizarre flora and fauna. But she literally just collapses in dirt.
Yeah.
And I do kind of wish they had gone out a little bit. Now, the scenes in the spaceport and whatnot did look cool. Yes, it is very Mos Eisley, but you know what? It looked good. Credit to the use of puppeteering. I thought they did a really good job balancing costumes, puppeteering, and CGI for a lot of the aliens and backgrounds, give it a much more three-dimensional, realistic feel to it than if they had just gone entirely CGI. And again, I knew they were going to add a lot more elements to it. I mean, Lobo, obviously, but you know what? I enjoyed Lobo. It is the role Jason Momoa was born to play. And he shows up, he says, Bastich, I cheered.
About 4 or 5 times, I think.
The first time he said it,
I
cheered.
laughed the first time because Johnny Dangerously. About the third time he did it, I went, okay, come on.
Yeah, either way, still made me laugh. Like I said, he's a fun character, and I was happy to see him on screen. I love Millie Alcock. I loved her since I first saw her in House of the Dragon. And I'm just going to say this. I don't get why so many people were complaining about her role, because I looked back at female-led superhero movies that do not get build-up. So, like, Black Widow is not included in this. But they always complain that the superheroines do not have personality, that they're too bland, they're boring, that the studios are deciding to play it safe. Kara Zor-El in this has character. She has a personality. She actually stands out, and I thought she was very well developed. So I'm sitting here going, I genuinely do not get why you guys are all complaining about Millie Alcock and her role in this, because
I would like to answer your question, because a lot of the people that are complaining about it are sexist, and they want something. Considering the amount of people saying that they should have given this role to Sydney Sweeney, and I like how I saw somebody on TikTok say, "Where were all these people wanting Sydney Sweeney for Supergirl when Christie came out?" It's like she's Sydney Sweeney, poor gal, has become like this go-to meme for I don't like the look of this actress. But I will tell you this: nobody complained about Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman
until the second movie.
Well, I'm saying, like, when they casted Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, she met the attractive test. She was tall, right? She looked good standing next to Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck. I'm like, nobody had a problem with that. And the thing of it is,
hang on.
No, wait a second. Let me finish a sentence.
Okay.
And then, because people don't have any imagination and everything's the fucking culture war, that's all anyone wants is Gal Gadot clones. Because here's the thing: either you make the movie they want you to make with whoever actress, or you put a pretty enough actress who's coming to the Gal Gadot bar, and then they don't care as much. Go ahead, Robert.
I vividly remember us complaining about Gal Gadot being cast as Wonder Woman.
We did, but we complained because she's a wooden actress.
That's not the only complaint I had, personally.
Okay, but we also don't represent the amount of people
I'm aware, but like
okay.
the other, there were 2 major complaints about her. One of them was, yeah, she's a little bit wooden, which miraculously, she wasn't in Wonder Woman. She actually got some warmth and character and charm.
Yeah, she somehow got worse as she
We don't
started
talk about
more movies.
84.
Oh no, I'm just thinking Snow White and what was the
Can we not stray too far from Supergirl? So, Robert, make your point, whatever it's going to be, and then let Alexis have her time back.
The other complaint, and this was remedied, but if you look at pictures of her when she's cast, and especially like the photos of her, they were like, hey, here's Wonder Woman. She weighs like 90 pounds. And a lot of us went, you're supposed to be able to like... And again, to the eternal credit of Gal Gadot, she took that seriously and got into shape for the role.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time she actually was there, it worked. But
go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I did hear that criticism too, but it's one of those things where it was like, if they would have gotten like a super buff, like ripped actress, then there would have been complaints about that. So
yeah,
it's to say it's you can't win for losing either way. So you just move on.
I would say the argument doesn't hold a lot of water because a lot of it is, I'm going to say it again, the fucking culture war, and it's a lot of guys just being angry about their needs not being met on film. So then the low-hanging fruit to attack is Millie Alcock's looks, which she's a pretty enough gal. It's not my particular type, but I'm not the one demanding they switch her to back to Melissa Benoist, who is my Supergirl. Anyway, go ahead.
Robert, were you done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I do also kind of wish we had spent a little bit more time with Ruthie before she met Supergirl. Again, the story is told from her point of view, although I am so grateful that we didn't have like her inner monologue or narrating, because I openly complained when we reviewed the book that sometimes the overuse of her, it's like, okay, so she's monologuing, and then we got these characters talking, and it takes you out of it.
I 100% disagree with you. I would have loved this to sound like a D&D movie. And she's just narrating the whole way through.
She's quite verbose in the narration in the book.
I complained about having to read it. I wouldn't have complained about the narration. Go ahead, Ben. Sorry.
Also, it's weird because the narrative dialect, or at least the spoken dialect, kind of goes back and forth between D&D and like a little bit of Western, Western. It's a kind of a sweaty combination of
this movie was in desperate need of whimsy, and it would have been whimsical to hear this woman, and then Supergirl flitted in and blah 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 blah.
We're gonna get a different cut of this. Like, it's gonna be the opposite of the Blade Runner cut, where originally it has the Harrison Ford voiceover narration, and then they took it out. This is gonna be the opposite. It's not there. They're gonna put it back in.
Go ahead, Alexis.
Okay, I thought they handled her backstory very well. I talked about this when we reviewed the book, that the way they showed this as how kryptonite develops because Kara's father, while building the force field, did not think to put the force field underneath the ground. So the minerals underneath the ground absorbed all of the radiation, and that's how, everyone slowly started dying. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. Yes, there are some things I would have changed. You're right. They could have used a dash of more color and scenery. And I would have liked a little bit more time with Ruthie. I thought the action scenes were great. I freaking love the fight scene in the bar between her when she just goes, it's like, go sit down. Go sit down. I'll take care of this.
The fight scene that they don't show you?
They show a little bit of it. I still enjoyed it.
Because
that's the one,
focused
Mark.
the camera on Ruthie? That one? Okay.
They still showed a decent amount of it.
It's like one of 4 or 5 in the whole movie, so I don't begrudge him doing something slightly different with that one.
Yeah. So no, I give this a positive review. Could have been better? Yes. I still very much enjoyed it. And then Millie Alcock has been confirmed she's going to have a large role in what is it? Man of Tomorrow is the next. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I am very much so looking forward to seeing her play the role again.
Remember when you said you were bored by the Eternals, and I yelled at you?
Did you yell at me? I think I may have blocked that out.
It's entirely possible. Trauma will do that to you. But I'll tell you, I feel like I'm gonna go to Robert in a second, but I want to draw this comparison. I was so fucking bored with this movie, but it made me think about you and the Eternals, and I'm trying to think, why is Alexis wrong and I'm right? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but let's focus only on the difference between boredom in one movie and boredom in the other. And I figured it out what it was. Because whether or not the Eternals made any sort of sense to me, I was taken in. I mean, Chloe Zhao knows how to swing a camera and creates beautiful pictures.
She does.
This is a fucking ugly as sin movie, and I don't care about action as such unless the action makes sense to me. And a lot of it was. I'll talk about it when it's my turn. My point is, I'll watch a nonsense movie that looks pretty and not be bored because I can be taken in by the visuals. I'm gonna be bored by an ugly as shit, rushed, poop in the toilet movie visually, where nothing else in the movie is getting my interest. And at some point I got up to take a piss because I was like, I don't care what happens in this movie anymore.
And yet I hear you complain about Taika Waititi films, but at least that man.
No, that's the man above you. I could give a shit less about that stuff. I love Ragnarok.
Hated it. Still hate it.
We know Damon Wayans from In Living Color. Hated it. So
if I ever say anything with that accent, you understand that's me being held at gunpoint, and I want you to send help.
You're in trouble. Save you. And I just wanted to draw that comparison. Like for me, nothing in this movie grabbed me, and that's why I was bored. As opposed to your complaints about Eternals, which was, you didn't seem to appreciate her visual style, and nothing else about the movie grabbed you. It was in my head, and I wanted to speak it into the world. Robert?
God, where to start? I agree with you, Mark. This movie is not good looking. The fact that this is kind of what passes for a well-colored movie in the modern landscape of everything is muted browns and blues.
Who said this was well-colored?
There is use of color. Let me rephrase. There's use of color.
Sure, it's not black and white, I guess.
Versus so many other things that come out nowadays that are just
shades of brown.
Everything's brown and gray.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, there's a little blue.
Sorry, your color aesthetic, your color palette should not be the bathroom from Desperado. All right, I got you to at least kind of laugh. Good, I'm happy.
I hadn't thought about that in a minute, but man, I gotta block the sun there so I'm not blinding anyone who may be looking at my camera. I don't like the way it looks for the most part. Somebody mentioned, I saw someone else say it, I forget who, so I apologize, I'm stealing your line. That this movie is like 80% just the Mos Eisley Cantina scene over and over and over again. And I saw that and I went, that can't be true. And I saw the movie and I went, God, that's very true. Like once or like twice I could have lived with, because okay, you're doing space stuff set in a bar, you're never going to escape the Mos Eisley reference. You may as well just accept it the first time. But she goes to like 4 bars and everyone is the same vibe with the same color palette and the same cast of characters in the bar.
Can we not get one bar with his girls dancing on the bar to Achy Breaky Heart or some shit?
Like how do we not get to an intergalactic Coyote Ugly or something? Like just
Coyote Ugly. That's
something.
Damn it. You're the one that said it, not me. Damn it. I'm gonna never forgive myself. Yes. Can we not have one space bar doing Coyote Ugly?
I mean, she's going to like the worst, most drab bars.
This is the worst pub crawl ever.
I mean, the world's ending, and the world, and that world, in the end of the world, and they're going to better bars than these ones. I desperately now want to see this movie remade by.
I tell you, the crew should have been taken to New Orleans. Do a pub crawl on Bourbon Street. You would have had many different aesthetics.
Yeah, so it just gets way too samey for giant chunks of this. The action. The first part of our big final sequence, when she lands on the ship and starts fighting, right around the time she gets shot with kryptonite, because of course she does. I hated that. It was so poorly edited. you jump cut between things way too quickly. Nothing has any weight. There's a scene where she's supposed to be like holding on to a cable and swinging something around on the end of it, and it's the most comical thing ever because they just grabbed poor Millie Alcock and said, hold this rope and spin like you're swinging something heavy, but there's nothing on the other end of it. So the like 3 seconds we get of looking at her while it swings is just awkward because she's clearly like leaning back as they're swinging the camera around her instead of her swinging anything. It's completely backwards, and I almost burst out laughing. It's inept. There's just inept blocking and inept staging of that part of that action sequence. So nothing of Lobo's big. Like Lobo shows up and drives around on his motorcycle and just teleports from place to place, which is not actually a power of that particular vehicle. Like he's literally just like, well, he's over on that side. Now he's on this side. Now he's back on that side. Now he's on this side, driving around throwing grenades. Like, fine, drive around, throw grenades, knock yourself out. That's a great way to go about destroying one of these things. But you put this together badly. Once we actually get to the ground, and for some reason there's a dust storm, because you just wanted to lean into the like I wasn't gonna make the Fury Road comparison personally. I saw people making it, and we got most of the way through this movie, and I just kind of went, it felt lazy. Like, oh, you mean this movie where that actually deals with themes of overcoming past, bondage and human trafficking and sexual abuse and all that? Like, it's a lazy comparison to say this movie was drawing too heavily from Fury Road, because Fury Road also deals with a similar theme. And then we get to that final sequence, and I went, okay. So you are not George Miller, sir. Failed miserably. So there's a dust storm that I didn't care for. Other than that, like that last bit with Supergirl, wrecking shop, I'm mostly okay with. I would have been fine with it if you hadn't had that terrible song playing. Like, for those of you who may be too young to remember this, I remember when Jimmy Eat World's In the Middle came out.
It's just the middle.
You couldn't get away from that damn song.
He's not wrong. That was my senior year of high school, and yeah, that song was just everywhere. Haven't heard it in years though, so.
It was
Me
inescapable.
neither.
And then you use a cover of it too, by the way. Which, for some reason, you chose like a very low energy version of that for a high energy scene, and it was way off the mark.
That's a thing in the past like 5 to 10 years of movies too. Is sort of like, like subdued covers of like, higher
There are times
energy
that
songs.
it's worked where it's comedic.
Yeah.
Too, it's like, oh my god, this really, we are at the zenith of ineptness. It's bumbling and bobbling, and everything is now going to be slowed down, and we're going to play a silly song over it as our heroes bumblefuck their way through this scene. And then everyone just kept repeating that no matter what we were doing in the scene.
I would very much like to blame that entire trend on Face Off, but I don't think I can.
The last place I prominently remember it is in one of the Kingsman movies.
Yeah, they do it. There's a few other Marvel movies that have dabbled with it. Like
The Batman did it.
Yeah, I've blocked out that movie from my memory, but it absolutely did it. I'm not going to fight with you about it. I don't like the movie, and I know I'm in the minority. Now, that was for Ben. He made a face at me.
I make lots of faces. I didn't say anything.
I know that face, though.
Robert's extra sensitive about it because in the middle of that podcast, he fucking walked off and made a sandwich, and I've never forgiven him for it. So now
You were talking with Andrew. I didn't leave you hanging with dead air.
So now, if you make a face at Robert regarding the Batman, he gets super sensitive. So now you're caught up.
Well, luckily I already ate my sandwich, so.
Thank you, Alexis. Continue, Robert.
So there's that. Then I'm torn on Millie Alcock here because I don't think she's a bad actress. Start there. I do not believe she's a bad actress. I don't even think she's miscast in this role. I think there's two big problems that this presentation of Supergirl runs into. Maybe three. One is her lack of physical change over the course of the movie. You see, back when people understood film as a visual medium, if your protagonist goes from a disheveled mess to someone mostly with their crap together to be aspirational and ready to kick ass at the end of it, they're not wearing the same clothing by the end of it. You don't drag the old guy out of the gutter, which may as well have been where she was when we started this. And then at the conclusion of our 2.5 hours together, she's still wearing basically the same clothing, doing now the heroic things. And the closest we get is she puts on the Supergirl outfit by the end, which I feel was a studio note more than anything. Like at some point, if James Gunn had his brother, she never would have put that thing on, and she just would have done the final thing in the brown coat. But no, she has to wear this costume because we have to sell toys. Damn you! So there's a lack of visible progress with the character that could be matching the internal motion. And again, as a visual medium in film, this is a thing you're supposed to do. At a bare minimum, by the end of this, her hair should have been combed. For crying out loud.
But Robert, don't you understand the virtue of messy girl?
Do not knock those of us with curly hair.
I'm fine with curly hair. Like this is not a style choice. It's an unruliness choice.
Don't. Messy girl. Just leave it where I left it, which is the virtue of messy girl.
So she's changing, but there's almost nothing visually to cue us along with this. And this is a thing you're supposed to do in film. Again, this is a visual medium. But because nowadays everything is, well, we assume it's on a second screen while someone's watching at their phone, all we have to do is say what's going on, and this will suffice. The other problem that this version of Supergirl runs into is, again, this is not on Millie Alcock as an actress. I think she does a good job. This character is not someone you want to be around. I don't want to go on this journey with her. She's unpleasant.
Doesn't it say a lot, though, that the people who developed this movie do want to be around her? This is a very fetishized movie. But there's a particular kind of messy girl that this crew, James Gunn at the top of that pyramid, very much wants to be around, and decided to make a whole movie around it, around his particular taste in chicks.
Some poor girl in high school back in the 90s ruined that man, and he's never gotten over it.
And he'll never forgive him for it.
Again, she's just unpleasant. And I don't need you to just I don't need her to be, this version of Clark, where everything's upbeat.
She has a character from the comics. I don't understand. And then Tom King decided to throw all that out and reinvent the character. But we're still the character in the movie is still not the character in the book.
Yeah, which is kind of my problem with it. Like I don't mind. You want to another problem with this? Let's have a deep exploration of trauma from this traumatized character who watched her society crumble around her after being born into a cage, basically, where everyone's dying of radiation poisoning, and what happened to her parents and what happened to her, and she feels displaced, and you want to explore all that. Cool. That's rich material. So she's going to be like 35, 40, right? No, she's not. Like, these are themes that you need someone with like life experience as a character to really convey. It's part of my gripe with her entire dynamic with Ruthie is you've got a 23-year-old party girl going, no, I have such wisdom and moral clarity about my life.
That was the thing about the book, is that she had lived.
Yeah.
She was imparting her wisdom of having gone on adventures and saving the world. Like, the Tom King iteration of this character was a character with lived life experience, and she was saying, hey, I've been down this road. Nothing's going to bring your family back. Don't give in to hate. And there's none of that in this movie.
So it's a bad reading of the cliff notes of the book is sort of unfortunately what kind of went into this. Because this iteration of this iteration of Supergirl is like someone who's having to learn the same lessons that she's supposed to be imparting wisdom about, and it comes across as hollow as a direct result of that. So that's a problem. And
Yeah,
I think
Ben, hang on, Ben. You raised your hand in class for some odd reason. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
I wanted to add something to say once Robert was finished.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead and make your point.
I've already stopped him, so.
I would my only rebuttal to that would be that there does exist people who have been through a lifetime's worth of trauma before they reach a particular age. That is a thing that exists. And what happens is, like, some people will go through that and maybe think that they possess the sort of emotional maturity to be able to put all of that in context and try to, school somebody else about what it's all about, and may not be particularly good at it. And if I'm going to have any defense of, like, that particular, like, narrative trajectory, I don't think that it's all that deep in the movie. I'm just saying that it's a way to look at it. No, like, some people who are very young and have experienced trauma will try to, tell you this is the way it is, and maybe they're partially right, and they're partially have something to impart, but may not know the best way to impart it.
Great, then write that character, Ben.
Yeah,
I don't disagree with you, but that you're picking a character that isn't in the movie.
I think that character appears here and there, maybe not as much as it should, but I think it's there.
I would have been interested in that character, like, to be genuinely on. If this version of
hang on 1 second. I think the problem, Ben, that you're pointing at is that they don't always want that character to be in the movie, because sometimes they just want her to be a messy party girl, and sometimes they want her to be a trauma victim who experienced a lifetime of trauma in a tender 15 years. And sometimes that character shows up in the movie, and sometimes she many-faces, and it's the other character. And what they don't do, and I think the point you're trying to make, is they don't integrate that into one whole person. They do the many-faces trick, where it's, in this scene, I'm this way, and in this scene, I'm that way, and in this other scene, I'm this other way, and I'm in whatever the movie needs me to be at any given time, which breaks immersion. Something I've been talking about a lot lately. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I didn't find my immersion was broken, but I understand if somebody's was, if yours was, if other people's were. I get it.
Okay, Robert.
Yeah. So that is the other problem is if you want to have, like, an unlikable protagonist as the person we're following, you need something there to soften those edges. Like, I don't mind following rough protagonists. There are some very great ones throughout the history of, whatever medium you want to choose, any storytelling. Like, okay, this is our protagonist. Boy, they kind of suck. Yeah, they'll get better by the end. Okay, but that's, like, a long way from now. What do we do between now and then? This thing. Here's this thing that'll help. This will help soften their edges. This will help smooth the narrative. This will help give them something to play off of, etc., etc. And the unfortunate reality is Ruthie is a giant anchor rather than a benefit to this story. She just...
They don't know what to do with her.
Yeah. It is... I'm not going to kill the actress, because that would be unfair. I don't think anyone could have saved what they had written for Ruthie in this movie. It is so...
I don't think
uneven.
anyone understood the Ruthie character from the books, so they just had her doing what the book character does without understanding why the character was doing what it was doing.
I don't disagree with you. That's a lot of it. So unfortunately, you're left in a position where you have a protagonist that you don't really want to be around all that much, and the supporting characters that are meant to ease this, and like, that sounds like I'm like reducing them to purely their functionality, and I promise I'm not. Like, those kinds of characters are important, and many of them are very, very rich, but the functionality, if we're talking like the architecture of the story, is they're meant to make this easier. They humanize the unlikable character, and they give the audience something to root for. They provide contrast. Like normally the example I want to go to in my head of this is the most extreme example I can think of, and I almost don't want to do it because it's a bit of a caricature. But if you read the early Berserk volumes, Guts is an edgelord who you don't want to be around because all he does is kill things, and so he's got a little mystical elf companion who is obnoxiously upbeat and optimistic, and he's almost out of place in that world. And I mean,
okay, another version of this is Happy, which we reviewed on the network, the TV show and the comic. You have an immoral drunk who's palling around with an imaginary unicorn.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways. Again, there are plenty of examples, and there's plenty of examples that are really good, and there's plenty of those. Again, I hate to say sidekick, but the contrasting characters, the narrative foils, that are remembered very, very fondly because they do their job very well and they are rich characters in and of themselves. And Ruthie is none of these things. So you have a kind of, I mean, borderline Reggie the Reckless here. You have this character that I'm almost rooting against, paired up with a character I don't kind of want to be around all that much. And I'm watching them go on adventures to try and save a dog. And I'm rooting for them because I want the dog to be okay. Like
Oh, wait, are you actually admitting that for once you care about Krypto? Because I remember your animosity towards Krypto when we reviewed Superman.
I disliked how he was used when we reviewed Superman. At no point in that movie, much as I liked or didn't like the movie,
I don't know why she picked at you for that, because the person here who doesn't care about pets is me. You said on a million different occasions how much we made fun of you because of the fucking the Banshees of Inisherin, where Robert's gonna be the guy left alone in his house with a bunch of animals.
Yeah. That said, you have to be Brendan Gleeson there, who, like, when I show up and say, "Hey, my donkey died," you go, "Oh crap, he's gonna burn the world down." Because you understand that.
We're almost at an hour, and I still got a couple things I want to
so
say.
There's several of the action sequences again that I think are poorly put together. The dialogue, oh god, the dialogue. Look, there are first-time writers out there who are talented who just need a break. Please. The only time I'm going to appeal to the money men in this, for your own safety and job security, maybe don't trust $200 million to the person who has as many screenwriting credits as I do.
I miss competency in filmmaking.
It was nice, wasn't it? So
yeah.
The dialogue is just bad for the most part. Again, Lobo could be removed and nothing of value would be lost. But he's also one of the only things with, like, personality and character here, so...
He looks like shit. I'm going to tag in. He looks like fucking shit in this movie. Like, Jason Momoa is not me. Hi, everybody. This is what I look like. Like, that's not Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa is a fit guy who, if you just throw some white paint on him and make him look like the Kiss Demon... That's a note from my daughter, by the way. Doesn't know any fucking thing about Lobo. She just kind of looks up and she's like, why is the Kiss Demon in the movie? And I'm like, it's a thing.
You mean the Demon Dale Torborg?
What have I told you about that?
Sorry, because they had to refer to him as that legally after the...
What have I told you about that? Go make a sandwich.
Okay, I referenced WCW one time, and that's what gets me exiled.
You mentioned Dale Torborg.
A very specific period in WCW.
Anyway. So... They made him unnecessarily bulky to the point where it looked more like the Stay Puft Marshmallow had fucked the Kiss Demon, and that was his baby. Finally, I made Ben laugh.
I was gonna say you broke Ben.
It's a good thing it wasn't like a second later. I had to spit my drink into the camera.
Would have made this whole night worth it. He looked
I'm good now.
Look ugly as sin. Like, just fucking throw some makeup on Jason Momoa and let him be Jason Momoa. Like, he's so close to the fucking... He's so close to the only other character on Earth that Jason Momoa acts like his animal from the Muppets. Just let him be himself, for God's sake. So, yeah, he looked like garbage. And then, I don't know what's going on in Hollywood these days where we've lost the art of the cool male entrance or letting, cool male violence just happen. And like let it be a fun moment for the audience. But everything they did with Lobo sucked. Like it doesn't take much to think, all right, let's have Lobo enter the screen, go bastages, throw his cigar down, and just start wrecking people to the sounds of "Welcome to the Jungle." Boom, done. I'm not like if that's low-hanging fruit, good, it should be. This character was meant to inject some cool masculineness into it. It was like everyone was afraid of it, so there was the most like vanilla, lukewarm entrances, and everything he does in this is just so fucking like it screams studio note. Jason Momoa tried his level best, but honestly, this was one where a little less trying to make the Lobo character and a little more just let Jason Momoa be Jason Momoa and let him do cool guy shit on his motorcycle. Yet I had it, and no one would have complained. And like I said, his chest and everything was so fucking bulky. It looked like we complained about like the use of CGI and all of that, where it just makes everything look so fake it breaks immersion. That's what killed me in this movie was how bad Jason Momoa looked. I was not going into this movie with a closed mind. I read the book. I liked the book just fine. And I was willing to have an open mind about what was, despite my problems with James Gunn and everything he's done since Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I was willing to treat this with an open mind. And I echo a lot of what Robert said, so I'm not going to actually repeat it. But, you know, fetishizing the messy girl, and she's not all that different from at the end of the movie than she is from the beginning is not that interesting to me. I think my biggest problem was about halfway through this movie, I kept thinking about better movies, which is generally not a good sign. What, Alexis?
Well, they've been talking about doing a hard R Lobo movie. Do you think maybe they're just waiting to save the whole over mask? I can't defend the over bulkiness of the makeup. I'm with you on that. But do
he
you
looks
think
like Eddie Hall when he was competing in Strongman?
I'm going to go back to reviewing the movie that I saw. So about midway through this, I started wondering, are we ever going to get to see Supergirl do Supergirl stuff? I argued with, I think it was Ben, maybe it was Alexis, one of the two of you, where you're like, oh, it was cool to see her do stuff in one of the 5 times she does shit in a bar. And I was like, the first time she does it, you don't see it. You focus on Ruthie, and you as the audience are meant to see Ruthie struggle with, and I want to really set this up, being defended by a group of violent men by her woman friend. Like, why are we sympathizing? Why are we as the audience made to go through this thing where we're not supposed to like what we're seeing? We're seeing it's such a weird thing. We're supposed to be watching this girl kick all kinds of ass. I bought a ticket to watch the girl kick ass. So this isn't like a misogyny thing. I want to see Supergirl wreck shit. And then the first time she does it, they pull the camera away, focus on Ruthie, and Ruthie's like, oh, heavens to Betsy. Boy, violence is not a good thing. I mean, my whole modus operandi, my whole motivation in this movie is I must murder a man. But this is a bridge too far. The fuck are we doing here? And then you wait what seems like an eternity for Supergirl to do anything else. And it's funny, it was either the drinker or Gary from Neurotic who said like there was a real power scale problem in this movie, and this I do want to talk about because there are times where even after she's been hit with the yellow sun, she finally has her powers back, where she's the most powerful thing in the movie, as she should be, and other times where she's about as powerful as everybody else. And I was like, pick a lane already. And I'm starving. I'm thirsty to see Supergirl just be a force of destruction. You know, like I just watched Endgame recently. Again, I very rarely watch anything more than once anymore. But I was feeling nostalgic for something that brings me joy. And I watched Endgame, and I love this. Thanos is like, we're losing this fight, everybody. Fuck these people. Rain fire. And even one of his, I think it's Corvus Glaive, you're gonna kill us. Like, stop. And like, Thanos is like, no, I don't care. Everybody dies. And so all this cannon fire, and poor Peter Parker's like fetal, and everyone's almost dead. And then there's a brief moment, and it stops, and the cannons all point up, and here comes Captain Ex Machina. Here comes Captain Marvel to come back into the movie, and she takes down the fucking ship. And it was the middle of the night, so I didn't scream and holler, but I was like, oh, that's so cool. It's cool to watch powerful people do powerful shit. And I was really wanting that out of this movie. I was kind of hoping, finally, like, after watching decades-long movies of watching tiny women throw large men around, finally I could see a movie where that would make sense, being the most powerful being in the universe next to Superman. And it takes forever to fucking get there. And then by the time she got to the third act, and she's on a planet now with a kryptonite sun, and I was like, I can't fucking stand this anymore. I got up and left. I was so mentally exhausted by this movie, I just got up and fucking left. I went and took a piss, I thought about my life choices, I came back, and then finally, she's got the suit on, she's having the big fuck-all fight, and they still can't figure out what her power level is. And then he shoots, and then this is what broke me. This is the whole reason I'm talking about this. Because this is where I started to think about why this doesn't work for me and the movie I was thinking about does. And it's not because I'm 100. And they shoot her with the kryptonite arrows, which was utterly unnecessary. Just let her be Supergirl. Let Krem be a fucking coward, which is what he is in the book, and run like hell, and she just has to go after him. And the goons kept getting in the way. No, instead we have to make her weak again. So we shoot her with the stupid arrows. And, you know, good thing you have kryptonite arrows on you.
Super convenient.
Yeah. And it made me think about why I hate this and why I liked the original Superman movie. Hear me out on this. Never mind all of the differences between the two movies in terms of color paletting and all of that, and the fact that we get to watch a heroic person do heroic stuff as opposed to what we got in this. Specifically the scene where Gene Hackman throws the kryptonite necklace onto Superman. And it's not a big action scene, he's just drowning in a pool. And Miss Tessmacher's there. And he's trying to get this thing off him like it's a boa constrictor. and he's like trying to eke out the words, "Help me, Miss Tessmacher." And she's like, well, I'm loyal to Gene Hackman, who will fucking kill me if I help you. On the other hand, I don't particularly like what Gene Hackman's about to do, and it's going to hurt me personally.
He's going to nuke my parents' hometown, where my parents are.
And so he's like appealing to her greater sense of like humanity. He's like, "Miss Tessmacher, please, you don't want to see all these people die." And she's kind of like, "No, I don't fucking care, actually, but I do care about my mom." So, and in the back of Superman's head, while he's dying, he's like, "I got to get to Lois because Lois is in peril," and she's like, "Yeah, with all that, I'll help you, but you got to promise, and you don't lie to people. You got to promise me you're gonna save my mom." And he's like, "Well, I don't want to die, so sure." There's a lot of tension in that scene. There's a lot going on character-wise. There's a lot going on thematically. And so I don't mind seeing Superman weak in that scene because you filled it with so much other stuff. They keep making Supergirl weak and filling it with nothing else. You're just waiting for Shawn Michaels to kick up. That's it. That's all you're waiting for. She's just selling. She's milking it. She's selling. And then she's going to kick up, super kick fucking Krem, and, and then 1, 2, 3, she's the boyhood dream's been achieved. Like, ugh. There's an art to movie making that seems to be lost on the people making movies these days. And it's a lot of subtlety. Like, as somebody who's watched as many films as I do and really studies this stuff and digs deep into the subtext, I was really missing the original Superman movies because it wasn't just him running around doing superheroic stuff. There was a lot in those movies. And this is just so fucking surface. This is a dumb kids movie. And I was bored by it because every time I went, like, give me something else to hook into, nope, you get the bare minimum. I am tired of the bare minimum. I kind of said that last week with Disney, and it's the only part of this I'm going to repeat from last week so I don't annoy everybody else. But it's a lot of this is just bare minimum filmmaking now. It is the most basic, like, broad picture, nothing beneath the surface, nothing that's going to scare too many people. And that doesn't leave someone like me with anything to gravitate towards. Robert, you're about to say something?
No, I don't think so.
I thought you were going to cut me off. So, is it the worst movie I've seen? No. Did it make me as angry as Toy Story did? No. Is it probably going to be in my bottom 5? Yeah, probably. Other than this being ugly as sin and all the other complaints that I've made, I just, like, if it made you happy and you liked it, that's great. I'm not taking that away from anybody, but I need more from my movies, even the big blockbuster ones, because they used to be a lot more in big block. Like Jurassic Park was a big blockbuster movie. There was a lot going on in Jurassic Park. I long for those years. I long for the depth of Jurassic Park. Did you ever hear someone say that out loud? So, Ben, any thoughts?
Not ones that would be considered succinct.
50 words or less, Ben.
I will add it.
Since you rarely come on the show, I wanted to give you a chance to rebuttal. So
I know, but if I was to address like a lot of your specific points, I'd tack another like 45 minutes onto this podcast. I'll just say some of the things that you mentioned, I agree with. Some of the things that you mentioned, I felt like came across, but we experience these things in different ways. So,
sure.
I thought that, first of all, I don't think there was as much depth of character for as many characters as there was in Superman from last year. That did a little bit. That was a little bit tighter in a lot of different ways. I think a lot of the stuff that they were talking about as far as seeing Supergirl doing this, doing that, wrecking this, and kind of being held back. I think that was probably narratively intentional, but probably wasn't executed very well. But
thank you. I'm not going to now argue with you because you said the thing that's correct.
Yeah, but I don't think it was executed terribly because there was other things that kind of made up for it to me personally. As far as how much change you see from her visually, the arc that she goes through from the beginning of the movie to the end is not a steep one. It's a shallow arc, but it's still an arc, I think.
I don't disagree with that, but did you hear the part where I said I'm going to need a little more from my movies?
I know.
Okay.
I think so, the on the page, like you said, written wise, yeah, the what was written was probably needed a whole lot more. I think Millie Alcock did a lot with not a whole lot to work with. She did a lot with facial expressions. She did a lot with just sort of subtle reactions to things.
I don't have a problem with her performance.
I know,
but
a
lot of the guys that look like me do. I don't. She's fine.
Nah, but I will take it maybe half a step further and say that her performance kind of propped up some of the problems that that you stated that you had with the story. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm a visual person. I tend to look at the stuff like that. I know you do too. I know, like you said, you study film. You've seen a hell of a whole lot more movies on a regular basis than I have. I just go by what I know from being observant in the way that I'm observant. I saw, this was, the story was lacking in a lot of ways. I think the performance, and you spend pretty much the whole movie with Kara, and I think Millie Alcock's performance made up for a lot of what the story lacked. That's just how I felt about it. And it's really about even though it's a shallow narrative arc, it helps that you stay with her, and you stay with a pretty tight cast of characters, and you're not kind of all over the place. Once again, which begs the question of what the hell was Lobo doing there? But
all right, well, let me get to Alexis.
Sure.
So Alexis, you asked me about a Lobo movie, and my only answer to you is make the movie you're making. Stop worrying about other movies. If Lobo doesn't work in this movie, I don't care about his next movie. I'm not interested in the kind of movie making anymore where it's set up for more movies. It's the worst lesson learned from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, from the Infinity Saga. And I refuse at this point to buy into it. It's why I dismissed it out of hand at first. But to be nice to you, I would love to see a Lobo movie, but Lobo has to work in this movie, and if your argument to me is, well, what if they were holding back so they had something for it? No, fuck off. You want to put the character in this movie, make him do cool shit. Or don't put him in the movie. Pick a different character. I mean, it's not like he's the only DC character in there. He's not the only spacefaring character in there. It's an old comic called Legion. Put the guy who I swell up like this. Put him in there for all I care. You know? But don't be like,
There'll be one too many inflation gags.
But don't sit there and be like, oh, we're gonna put Lobo in here and just give the people a taste, so then he gets his own fucking solo movie. That worked out well for the Flash. All right, so with that said, who's ready to move on to the money? Me?
Just last thing on this, real briefly.
Real briefly,
because this will dovetail into the money.
Mm-hmm.
3 years ago when James Gunn was announced to be taking over this whole thing, and he did that video where he said, here's our plans for Chapter One. I mean, we're 3 years on, and almost none of it's happened the way that he laid out there. If you'd told me coming into 2026, coming off of Superman, which, my feelings aside, you told me coming off of that, okay, this year, we're going to have 3 DC things come out. We're going to have Supergirl, we're going to have a Green Lantern TV show, and a Clayface movie. And if you'd told me that of those 3, the Clayface movie is the one that's probably going to do the best, I'm not sure I would have believed you. Which is not about my faith in Supergirl more so much as, good grief, why are you trying to knock off Taylor Sheridan for your Green Lantern movie series?
All right, you good?
Well, yeah.
All right, here comes the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Alrighty. I long, Robert, for the Minions movie. Because
It's
I feel like
coming.
it'll be the first movie this summer since like I keep saying Project Runway. Since Project
Hail Mary.
Hail Mary, that I will actually like enjoy, and there'll be whimsy, and I won't come on this podcast banging a shoe.
I was going to ask, is Project Hail Mary the only movie you've seen so far this year that you've actively enjoyed?
Let me go back. It's a good question, Alexis. I like that question. I'm going to answer that question. Good job. Hang on.
You got a list
Yay!
of your favorite things of the year so far?
All right. Since Project Hail Mary, I liked Hoppers. I don't remember being particularly. I'm not the one complaining the way you guys have about The Bride.
God, I hated that movie.
Yeah, that's going in my top 10 worst.
Ready or Not, Here I Come. It was whatever. No, not Super Mario. In the Blink of an Eye wasn't great, but it was more I enjoyed that conversation than the movie. WrestleMania. Oof. Not a lot of in-theater movies here.
Yeah, for some reason, that month was almost nothing. Everybody punted.
Mortal Kombat 2. I don't know. Jason gave me PTSD. Oh God! Suddenly
Jason and I talked Mortal Kombat lore for the if you didn't hear the
Suddenly,
review
I was a woman in a pretty dress, and there was this guy from West Virginia insisting he show me his etchings, and I was like, I can't get out of here.
Could have had me on that show.
It would have been twice as bad. You and Jason together? Yikes.
No, I meant me instead of Jason, but that's neither here nor there.
The answer is looking like no. Because, I'm up to the Mandalorian and Grogu, and we all know how I felt about that one. Masters of the Universe. There's your answer.
Okay.
So far, the movies that I've liked the most this year were Project Hail Mary and Masters of the Universe. Ben, have you seen Masters of the Universe yet?
No, I heard.
What the fuck are you doing? Stop seeing movies like Supergirl, you pansy, and go see Masters of the Universe. Why don't you be a man for once? Go see Masters of the Universe. Men.
I'm watching horror movies, man. I gotta get through the horror movies first.
Oh, you gonna go see Evil Dead Rise or Evil Dead Burn? Evil Dead Schmagiggy?
I might.
Yeah, that's coming out, I think, the same week as Moana.
So I just saw Disclosure Day this last week with my family, and I'm no joke. I walked out and I was like, "Oh, Mark and Robert hated that."
You were right.
Hate's a little strong, but no, it wasn't good.
I knew it's like I was like, "Oh my god, that just I'm glad I wasn't on that show because I know you two burned it.
We had a really great discussion about boomers and the space race, and that's about the only good thing I have to say about that movie. On a budget of 186 million Marvel movies, the box office is currently at a mild, a measly 63 million. As of
Guys,
June 20,
I need to put this into perspective for you.
can you hold that point? Because maybe the
Okay.
perspective is about something I'm about to read, and I really don't
Okay.
need us repeating ourselves. If I don't say what you're thinking, say it.
Okay.
As of the 28th of June, take two. As of June 28th, 2026, Supergirl has crossed 37 million in the U.S. and Canada, and 26 million in other territories for a worldwide total of 63 million. It was produced on a $170 million budget, although all of the sources claim to have been 186 million. This is what I said. 3 weeks ahead of its release, Supergirl was projected to earn over 55 million during its opening weekend, and proceeded to do a Robin Hood Daffy as it continually was lowered. Yoinks and away! 40 million. Yoinks and away! 30 million. Yoinks and away! Anthony D. Alessandro of Deadline Hollywood reported the unaided awareness of the film was even with the 4 quadrants of audience demographics. Both men and women under and over the age of 25, adding that it was higher than that of Star Wars film Mandalorian and Grogu, and fellow superhero films Thunderbolts and Shazam, both notorious bombs.
Do you hear Thunderbolts is getting a sequel?
Nope.
I'll believe it when it actually happens.
No,
We'll
just
see
gotta
what
now-
survives
Yeah.
Doomsday.
Yeah, Blade's also coming out. The film, and so is Gambit, you motherfucker. I'm sorry. I have. The film is estimated to have a break-even point of 315 million worldwide after accounting for its net budget and excluding marketing costs. This film will be profitable.
Oh.
We exclude the costs.
Okay, hang on. Also, can't stress this enough, Variety. You're full of shit. If this thing cost 190 million in production and you spent $100 million marketing it, you still have to double it at the box office. Your break-even point is not 300 million, you disingenuous hacks.
By June 20th, box office projections for Supergirl had fallen to yoinks, send away to 40 million, lower than the DC Extended Universe, The Flash, which opened at 55 million. On June 24th, as Rebecca Rubin at Variety, Supergirl was expected to earn 47 to 50 million in its opening weekend from 3,600 theaters. The film made 13 million on its first day, 7.8 million Thursday night previews, and ended up debuting even lower than revised. Yoinks, sent away! Earning 38 million domestically, lower than the lowest opening in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe with the Marvels, which I enjoyed, by the way, and earned a total of 68 million worldwide. Mark Radledge, known feminist, loved the Marvels. Following the debut, the wrap-up reported that the film is projected to lose the studio over $85 million. Alexis, your boyfriend's not long for this world. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Sorry to say it, sweetie.
This movie didn't just open softer than the Marvels. It did. It opened lower than Morbius, which came out during COVID.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for someone to repeat the troll job. Like in 3 weeks, someone's going to go, hey, wasn't Supergirl supposed to come out? No, it came out. What? I didn't see it. I didn't get the chance to go see it. Please re-release this to theaters.
Toy Story won the weekend. That's always a good sign. Only a 55.6 drop, Robert.
That's under normal circumstances, that would be a stronghold. I think that's a bigger drop than they wanted. Because it opened...
Maybe, but I'm sure they're happy it wasn't 70.
I think they wanted this closer to 50 than 60, and it's closer to 60. Is more where I come down on that.
Supergirl debuted at number 2. Obsession remained at number 3 with 7 weeks out. Obsession slowly becoming like the biggest movie of the year.
I was going to say, that movie has completely screwed over my summer blockbuster prediction poll. Did not.
Nobody saw it coming.
I know. Mark, did you do Jesse's summer blockbuster poll in the chat?
No.
Okay, I did. And yeah, it's like Obsession has just completely, I think it's thrown all of us out of the running. I think we are all royally screwed now.
I dug it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It's one of the best movies I've seen of the year. Still
Yeah,
just
I had-
screwed over my bet.
I had good things to say about it. Jackass, Best and Last, which my son wants me to take him to go see. That came in at number 4.
Apparently, it has made some people a little emotional as the not quite geriatric crew gets together for one last time, where they all go, "All right, we've all had at least one hip replacement. We can't do this again."
I just love that they think that this will be the last one. Because let's face it, Johnny Knoxville's going to keep making this shit until he's in an iron
At some
lung.
point,
The
they're
next-
gonna do-
The next one might kill them all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, they kind of have to stop, because if they
Yeah.
continue to do this, they will kill one of themselves.
Yeah.
Just go poor
And
fucking
really-
Steve-O.
The real problem that franchise has run into is that, bizarrely, no one has quite been able to capture the exuberance and human spirit of frickin' Johnny Knoxville to carry on the Jackass brand without him, which is a sentence I never thought I would say.
All right, Disclosure Day dropped from 2 to 5. Backrooms 4 to 6. Scary Movie 5 to 7. Bleach, 1,000-Year Blood War: The Calamity, debuted at 8. Masters of the Universe dropped from 6 to 9. Star Wars 7 to 10. Leviticus dropped from 9 to
The
11.
least interesting
And
book in the Old Testament.
Michael dropped from 10 to 12. Lucky Strike debuted at 13. The Death of Robin Hood dropped out of the top 10 from 8 to 14. The Sheep Detectives dropped from 13
I
to
can't
15.
believe, Mark, that yet another deconstruction of a classic mythic hero with the tagline "He was no hero," featuring an old man bumbling around in the guy wearing the skin suit of a once important figure in not just popular culture, but the broader mythical zeitgeist, failed miserably at the box office. I feel bad for Hugh Jackman because I like him, but
You should
this
start
was
a
a
pod-
wild misread on every conceivable level.
You should start a podcast. The Breadwinner dropped from 15 to 16. The Invite debuted at 17. Couture debuted at 22. Romeria debuted at 32. For the Love of a Woman, 35. And that was the weekend that was worldwide. Still only one movie that's crossed $1 billion. Michael, getting close. It's at 977. Project
It's
Hail Mary.
probably going to fall a little short when it's all said and done.
And then we dropped $300 million to Project Hail Mary. Then we are at 678 with The Devil Wears Prada 2, which is, I think, either on or just about to be on Disney+. Pegasus 3 is at 656. Toy Story 5, blazing up the charts at 585. You get the movies you pay for, people.
I think that's going to top out in the around 6 to 7. I don't think it's going to hit $1 billion.
And we dropped $200 million to Hoppers. Obsession, currently at 371, is really the big winner of this year.
Dude,
That-
Obsession overtaking Hoppers will be the height of hilarity to me.
Followed by its partner in crime, The Backrooms, at 330, and then barely making the top 10 is Star Wars, The Mandalorian and Grogu at 327.
They are just barely hanging on.
It just knocked Wuthering Heights out of the top 10.
What do you think is going to be the film that will officially push it out? Is it going to be the Minions movie or is it going to be the Odyssey?
Which comes out first?
The
Minions.
Minions.
But there's a lot of I don't know. I think you're going to be on that show, Alexis. But I'll tell you, it's been a lot of complaining for quite some time that, and I'm going to quote somebody here. This isn't me saying it. The woke infection finally got to Chris Nolan. Like, there's already a lot of preloaded hate for the Odyssey, given who they casted in what roles. So,
Oh, for
I don't
God's
know.
sakes. Tell them to go shut up about how he's portraying Achilles, okay?
I'm not in charge of the meetings. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
okay.
I'm sorry. I'm just sick to death of all of it. It's like, okay, you guys know that Brad Pitt is not Achilles, right? Despite him playing Achilles in, honestly, what is a mediocre movie, in my opinion.
And yet, if you could re-release Troy today, it would be the best thing this year. Like that's the state of modern movie making. Also, no, Elliot Page is not playing Achilles. The name
Okay.
got leaked, but now we actually know the character being played. So unless they're pulling another bait and switch, which I wouldn't put past the studio, mind you. Yeah, that one's bothered people. I don't care as much about that because Achilles isn't a major character in the Odyssey.
I think Peter Luongo and Elliot Page are what's irritating people.
Oh,
I
yeah, because heaven
genuinely-
forbid Helen of Troy is played by a black woman.
She's a Macedonian. Like, I'd settle for mythic accuracy at this point. Like, there's a here's why this movie's gonna struggle, and it's actually not to do with like politics. I'm a big fan of Christopher Nolan as a general rule. I really am. I like the vast majority of what he has done. I've defended some of his lesser movies. The problem is his brain does not operate on the level of myth. This is a mythic story. When your big thing is, well, what do we do to get them to bring the Trojan horse into Troy? You're missing the forest for the trees, my man. The Trojans bring the Trojan horse into Troy because that's what they do. That's how the myth goes. That's what the story does. It's not, well, if we put it in the middle of the tide, they'll come out and pull it in because they don't want to leave the wooden horse to get swallowed by the sea. You're putting the wrong parts of the story in the wrong places.
Real quick,
Moreover,
Ben, are you having some trouble hearing Robert's microphone, or is it just me?
It's kind of dropping in and out as far
Yeah.
as
like, crying out loud.
Yeah, so,
fine.
I did mean to interrupt, but it kind of sounds
No,
like
you're
you're taking steps away from your mic.
yeah, it's not dropping out completely where there's no sound, but it does.
Okay, hang on, let me
Yeah.
mute real fast and unmute, see if that fixes it.
That's why I was doing this. I thought it might be me.
No, it doesn't happen very often, but it's happened once or twice with me, so sorry about that. But
No, it's
anyway.
cool. I just wanted to make sure that you were being picked up properly. I didn't want it to
Yeah.
be this goes to Spotify, and it's like, why am I missing half of this diatribe?
Yeah, sorry. So let me repeat. He's not good at myth. It's one of the areas his Batman series struggled, which I love, by the way. I really appreciate his, but there's a mythic quality to Batman that he struggled to really get. So he grounded the character beautifully, and we got a great trio of movies.
You think you'd say like Christopher Nolan has this tendency to want to over-explain things?
Yeah.
Okay.
He would fit in well with this podcast.
Yes, and it's why stuff like Inception or Interstellar is so brilliant. It's a bad fit for this story. More importantly, if you want to screw with the story and screw with like important mythological casting, don't call it the Odyssey and set it somewhere else. Not a soul on earth complains about John Goodman being a Cyclops in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Because it's an adaptation.
Hang on, another really good example of this is Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino does a lot of playing with mythology and, revenge fantasy wish fulfillment. That's Inglourious Basterds, it's Django Unchained, it's Kill Bill, it's a couple of
Once
other
Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a couple of different areas where that's kind of his motif now is, what if we take this thing and we turn it around and we
If only I'd been there, it would have been different.
Yeah. And here's the thing. To Robert's point, I think if you were going to, I would like to do something like the Odyssey, but not the Odyssey, but we're going to change a bunch of shit. I think then you get the Quentin Tarantino appreciation. People are very patient with a lot of Quentin Tarantino stuff because he says at the front, this is fantasy. And when you're like, I'm going to take a pre-existing work and I'm going to monkey with it too far, you break people's relationship with the thing. Like if you to relate this to Supergirl, like we're going to do Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, but we're going to leave Ruthie out of the book entirely. Okay, it's too big of a change. She's an essential part of the book. You can't do that. Like, but I have all these great ideas of what we're going to do instead. Then don't do Woman of Tomorrow. It's one of the problems I've had with a lot of adaptations, whether it be comic books or otherwise over the years, is if you're saying this is lightly inspired by, words mean stuff. If you say inspired by, most people are willing to go with you because they understand you're not doing a one-to-one adaptation. If you're saying adapted from, there's an expectation you don't break the work entirely. And I think that's the problem Christopher Nolan's running into here is between, because he's big money Chris Nolan, he thinks he has a lot more rope than he really has.
To say nothing of the continued erasure of gingers, because I love John Bernthal, but Menelaus has red flaming hair and is described that way multiple times. And instead we have bald John Bernthal in that role, and
I mean, I love John Bernthal.
I love him too, but For crying out loud, like this is the one group that for some reason, like only the redheads are annoyed they're constantly being erased from cinematic representation and everyone else just tells them to shut up.
So Supergirl's no one's going back to see Supergirl. Everyone that went to go see it saw it opening weekend, and everybody else is going to go see the Minions this weekend, and Supergirl will be long forgotten. Shortly after Supergirl and the Minions is Moana.
That's tracking to bomb.
Let me ask you a question, Alexis. I want to see if... Now listen to the question I'm asking you. Don't answer a question that's in your head. What's your take? What's your temperature of the Disney files out there? Is this going to get a Lilo and Stitch, or is this going to get a Little Mermaid?
Oh, this is going to get a Little Mermaid easily. Audience, when the trailer dropped, when my family and I went to go see Disclosure Day, the audience burst into laughter the first time Maui showed up, looking at The Rock with that hair.
Okay.
No one is taking it seriously. I mean, I'm sorry. We joke about The Rock's ego when we talk about all of his movies, and we joked about it when we saw Black Adam, because it's like he would not allow himself to play a villain, even though Black Adam is a villain. He saw the script and said, "No, I'm a hero," but that's not the way it goes. I'm a hero, and that's what this movie feels like. It feels like The Rock grabbed the producers, kicking and screaming, drug them out to the beach, and said, "I'm Maui."
Counterpoint. Polite, friendly counterpoint. Moana
Please.
2, despite being garbage, did really well. There has to be an audience for this, don't you think?
Yeah.
Not for the same thing over again.
Well, that's the problem. Okay, so we got Minions coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Toy Story is still in theaters. I'm trying to remember if there's any other kids' movies that are coming out after Moana later on this summer.
Evil
'Cause
Dead Burn.
I will be taking small children to see that, yes, personally.
Busloads in his clown outfit.
You will then be providing the therapy.
No.
No, that is my honest question, though. It's like, I think how well it does depends on whether or not there's another family movie coming out afterwards that could dethrone it.
The other problem it's going to run into, and this is a problem certain live-action Disney adaptations have run into, if they try to adapt stuff that's too new, people don't care as much. Like, we joked about this with Lilo and Stitch. Bear in mind, Lilo and Stitch is like 20 years old. Like, Moana is less than 10. That's not the same thing.
I'm looking to see what the next kids movie is. I mean, I'm into August and I don't see anything.
Oh, shit. Then it may actually have a chance if it doesn't have any competition. Again,
Honestly, the closest thing is Coyote versus Acme, which is at the end of August.
and as much as I would love the poetic justice of Coyote versus Acme dethroning Moana, we all know that's not happening.
Unlikely, but...
Still looking forward to seeing that. I'm legit really excited.
So we're talking about what the effect of the July movies will have on Supergirl, and that is, again, the word of mouth on Supergirl is pretty evenly split. I've seen in my corner of the world on social media, I have seen a lot of girls and some guys going, "I don't understand. It's a fine movie. Where's all this hate coming from? It must be Snyder Bros." And then I've seen the other people, and we'll take the misogynists and assholes out of the equation for a moment because they don't matter. But I've seen people who seem to be like normal, regular people who don't hate women, and they don't like the movie either.
I can't imagine why having a scene where a hungover Supergirl decides to urinate without closing the bathroom door would be off-putting to people.
Hey! Like, it's my fucking toilet, and I'll pee with the door open if I want to. My point
Can
is,
you at least do up your robe while you walk around the house?
no. Listen, Ben.
Never.
In your
What?
if you could talk to me about your, never mind. What about your corner of the world? Where are you? Do you talk to people? Do you participate in social media? What are you seeing in terms of Supergirl appreciation?
I mean, it's a little bit like basically what I've been hearing is the Rotten Tomatoes ratio. Like, the critics seem to hate it, but people that are kind of that dig on comic book movies that went to see it seemed to think it, at the very least, it was okay. Like, nobody's like jumping for joy over it. Nobody's doing backflips over it. But they were like, yeah, it's an enjoyable way to spend a couple hours.
So the purpose of this conversation is you can get away with, and I was kind of hoping this would happen with Masters of the Universe. It doesn't seem to have. That you may have a soft opening weekend, but if word of mouth is good, it'll do like an Elemental, and you'll kind of have a quiet growth in people going to see the movie over time. Like, if you'll remember, Alexis, and I think you can speak to this better than I can, Elemental had a very not great opening, but by the time it was all said and done, it had a fair amount of box office because the word
wasn't it the international market that really?
It was the international, but I also think word
Yeah.
on the street was this was a safe one to take your kids to. It's not chock full of gay. You know,
Yeah,
and again, I'm
lost
speaking
it.
for the people who were aggravated with Pixar at this point. Go
Now,
ahead.
Elemental hung in there and did pretty well. I remember us talking about how glad we were to see that it held on. I think it stayed actually in the top 10 that year, lower top 10, but I think I do think it stayed like 8 or 9.
So there's always the possibility with a movie like Supergirl or Masters of the Universe, to where if word of mouth is good, if it's a well-made movie, it'll gain traction in the weeks following. But the two things have to be true. One, you can't have a polarized audience. Two, you have to have little to no competition. And this thing's got a fucking murderer's row of Minions, Spider-Man, Moana. And the reason we got into the tangent of Moana was how much of an impact is that play on Supergirl? I'm getting the impression from you and Alexis that not a lot, but just enough to where we're going to see Supergirl and the Bride hanging out together.
Well, I know Spider-Man's gonna if Supergirl hasn't already been knocked down, Spider-Man will definitely knock it down quite a few pegs.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything bad about Spider-Man as of yet. You gonna go see
They also-
Spider-Man, Ben, in the theater?
Yeah, of course.
You gonna come on the podcast and get yelled at again? I mean, you gonna come on the podcast and talk about it?
I guess. I mean,
I'm just asking.
it's a slightly different experience, like talking with you guys about movies than it is about talking about comics. But I'm open to it.
Well, I've had you on to talk TV shows as well.
Yeah, but they're TV shows we all liked.
He's saying I wasn't there to bully him.
Yeah, I was
in
gonna
fairness,
say-
I think
Sorry,
to
Robert.
the
go ahead.
Spider-Man point real quick. No one said anything bad about Spider-Man. We also haven't seen anything about it yet. I mean, there's like
Well-
one teaser.
No. There was a pretty
Oh,
extensive
what?
trailer that came out, and it looked pretty interesting.
Okay,
It-
I'll
it-
have to give
I
that.
will
I
say
haven't
this,
seen
and
the
I
full
don't want to
trailer.
spark a fight here. I actually want to ask Ben a couple of questions, but I saw the extended trailer for the Spider-Man movie and like want to see the movie less now. Like, I'm gonna see it regardless, but I got kind of turned off by what this is gonna be, I think, and I'm like, oh, not again with this. A lot, like, there's some stuff in it that I don't, for me personally, I don't like, but I'm gonna go in with an open mind, just like I did Supergirl, and hopefully I get more of what I want and less of what I got here. You've seen the trailer for Spider-Man. You're a big Spider-Man fan. You've watched all the movies. What are your thoughts, Ben? What are your hopes? What are your dreams?
I'm glad they're not, they seem to be like fully embracing like the comic bookness of it, and this is this seems to like firmly take place in a Marvel universe that's more recognizable, to comic book readers. There was an MCU Marvel universe that that Spider-Man kind of existed in, that had its own like quirks and things, and they kind of took him out of that a lot in the other movies to kind of put the character through some things, and now it's kind of we know who Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man is well enough to where like we're gonna drop him back into a New York City that's full of all this insane comic booky stuff, and I'm very much looking forward to that. Like that's kind of where where I was hoping. Where I've been hoping it would go back to for a long time. So
I agree. That's always been the joke, is that New York is overrun with superheroes, and it's like, oh, good, we're finally going to have him interacting with characters from the MCU shows, Daredevil, Punisher, and the like.
I really loved No Way Home. My
Me
my
too.
my memory of No Way Home was more screaming about the audience and yelling at Gavin, "Roses, Gavin! They'll throw roses at the screen." But I was also kind of hoping that would be the end of it, because it ended so perfectly. It was like they kind of finally got Tony Stark's ward to finally become Spider-Man, and that was, I thought, a great place to end it. So that's not to say that I'm mad that they're making another one. It's more of like, gosh, I hope you don't fuck this up, because Toy Story 4 and all.
The decision to, at least in part, adapt the arc where Peter turns into a literal spider is a strong choice.
We'll see how far they go with that.
Yeah, they're hinting. That's my only concern, is that they're adding a lot into this, and I am.
Doesn't Blade show up in that arc, if memory serves?
No, that's an animated series.
Okay.
You know who does actually show up in that arc, though.
If you're going to continue this rant, please adjust your glasses with your finger. Thank you.
You know who does show up in that arc where the Man Spider arc. Anybody?
No.
X-Men.
Morbius.
Oh, right.
I knew. I remember
shit
that.
you not, man. Like,
yeah,
I don't,
he is.
Yeah.
Well, don't the X-Men show up as well?
I don't think so. It's been a while since I read that particular story, but there's some
to
rumors
say,
about that too.
I hate to say it, I'm going mostly off of the animated series Spider-Man, because he does team up briefly with the X-Men when he goes to ask Professor X for a cure.
Yes.
And yes, oh god, Morbius in the animated series. Plasma. I need plasma. I will never get tired of making fun of that.
All right. Well, with that said, since we're almost at 2 hours, let's get to the end of this. Ladies and gentlemen, the critical review.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
That's about right.
You get the movies you deserve. The tomato meter, it's 54%. I honestly think this is a lot of critics who I've said this before. This is becoming a kind of a theme where I think there is a certain breed of critic out there that's so tired of being on the opposite side of the nerds and like angry white YouTube guys, that they're just like, their reviews are trying to get out ahead of that sort of thing. So they preemptively hate stuff that they know that like the old fat white guys are going to hate. That being said, oh shit, I went the wrong way. That being said, the all critics is 54, top critics drops it to 49. Verified audience is 76, all audience is also 76. Again, you get the movies you deserve. Millie Alcock brings a swagger to Kara Zor-El that would make Krypton proud in this otherwise familiar origin story. This isn't an origin story. Dawning a promising new hero in the DCU who's still waiting for an adventure that matches her vigor.
Her vigor is like 80% passed out. I think the movie's sedate tone actually goes with that.
Let's see. Tom Santilli of Movie Show Plus. C+. Millie Alcock is really good as our messy, misguided heroine, but like so many comic book characters before her, is stuck in the confines of a lousy pandering script.
This really is a bad script. It does need to be said.
Nick Johnston of Onyland. It's hard to recommend even for crypto watching purposes.
Well, because Crypto's barely in it.
Just get a real dog, people. You don't need a parasocial relationship with a CGI monstrosity.
You know what would have fixed this movie for me? Had she showed up to Clark's apartment at the end with the dog on a leash. I would have accepted that as growth. But instead, she's still just letting the thing run around all loose, and then it, of course, it tears into Clark's stuff. By the way, Clark's apartment's really small. Like, he can't afford a bigger apartment in Metropolis. Clark
He's a
Kent.
reporter, Mark.
I was going to say, I'd like to remind you that Lois Lane has won the Pulitzer. They show it in the movie. She's won the Pulitzer Prize, so she was able to use that check to pay for a much bigger apartment.
Yeah, like there's like no room in that apartment.
I've known
Billy
some big.
Alcock walks in with the dog and like bangs into furniture. Go ahead.
I've known some big city journalists. It's apt. It's accurate.
I feel like he has Kryptonian investing skills that like he should have more money.
Mark, what he has is the ability to ask Bruce Wayne for help.
That's what we're gonna get in the next Superman movie. We're gonna get Clark Kent like on Polymarket or something like that.
Oh dear God! You know, I hate to say that was
Superman, Man of Tomorrow, sponsored by Kalshi. You can
Yeah.
gamble on what's going to happen in real time.
Oh,
Hey,
And
good.
I hate to
run
admit
around
that was-
lasering people, be like he fucked up my parlay.
Oh,
No,
good
say
Lord.
that was the one of the few things I liked about the Justice League movie is when Bruce Wayne saves the farm and he just goes, "I bought the bank." It's like that is so Bruce Wayne. That was a smart addition.
It's actually one of my favorite pseudo zingers from the aforementioned Batman Superman Apocalypse bit is Kara lands on Earth and accidentally like blows up a computer in the Batcave while Batman's trying to figure out who she is because she only speaks Kryptonian. Clark shows up and speaks Kryptonian to her because he's not an idiot. And Batman just looks at him and goes, "So you owe me a new computer." And Superman says, "Yeah, I'm good for it." And Batman just scoffs, and not on a reporter's salary. You can't replace that.
Carla Renata, the former ex-Mrs. Robert Winfrey of the Curvy Film Critic. Supergirl has some tender moments that will sear your heart a time or two, but for the most part, it's just a satisfactory piece of cinema and not the blockbuster one might be hoping to experience.
Not totally wrong.
Susan Granger of SSG Syndicate. It's not Millie Alcott's fault that this second-rate, flawed spin-off about sex slavery suffers from chaotic, confused action scenes. Photographed in a murky brown haze, even her beloved dog Crypto is obviously a CGI creation.
Okay. The sex slavery they nixed. The rest of that was not wrong, but again, it's like of all the things to focus on in the quip.
Jeffrey,
You've lost Susan Granger. You've lost something important there.
Speaking of messy girls, Jeffrey Harris of 401mania.com. I don't get a chastising.
Why?
Right.
What good would it do?
3 out of 10. Supergirl is a gloriously underwhelming superhero movie that fails to take flight.
Mark, I think you're. Could anyone else hear him on that? Because I couldn't hear him.
A little bit.
He's dropping out harder than Robert was.
Yeah.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
What I said was, Supergirl is a gloriously underwhelming, messy comic book superhero movie that fails to take flight.
Almost as messy as that sentence construction.
Oh, poor Jeff.
He gave Toy Story 5 a perfect score. He is dead to me.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I can't take you seriously anymore.
Jesse Gender of Jesse Gender YouTube channel. While it often opts for a more generic option over one with more personality, Millie Alcock capably carries this ultimately good but not great adaptation of one of Supergirl's best comic book stories. Can I go ahead and say I've read a fair amount of Supergirl, and I don't think that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, A, would have been my choice to adapt, B, I don't think it's her best story. There's a lot of shit she did in the New 52 that's so much cooler than this. Would have been a fun story to adapt. What do you think, Ben? You read comic books.
I think Woman of Tomorrow gets a lot of cred with me because I just love the art so much, and that can make up for a story that's lacking. So maybe I'm not the right person to ask about this because I love the artwork so much that I was like kind of lingering on it a lot. There are probably better Supergirl stories like in and of themselves, but like the art elevated it. If the movie elevated itself to the level of like we talked about this, then that might have helped a lot too.
Alexis, if I gave you the job of adapting a Supergirl book to the big screen, which one would you have picked?
Oh, I still think Woman of Tomorrow was a good pick, but again, I feel that they did. they took too much from the wrong parts and not enough from the better parts. Does that make sense?
I don't know. I liked being super. I think that would have been a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Anything from like I said, her New 52 run, I think would have been cool.
Well, I was under the impression we like to pretend New 52 didn't exist.
Not necessarily. There was,
Here and there.
I did an entire 2-hour thing
again.
with
You're
Jesse
adapting. If your job is to adapt this, like the point there is, okay, we saw her briefly at the end of Superman. We can't ignore that if we choose to, but hypothetically, pick anything in the long history of Supergirl. What is the story you are most going to draw inspiration from for her first solo movie?
How about the book where she marries a horse?
Done.
The furry community would applaud.
What do you call it? Jesse and I did a whole thing last night on the New 52 while talking about Savage Hawkman. There were a fair amount of successes in the New 52. It wasn't all bad. And anyone that tells you that is lying, because the sales would tell you otherwise. I have pulled a whole thing on it last night. Boy.
Almost like gimmickry works initially and then fades almost immediately as your long tail becomes a steep drop.
Speaking of long tails, the former ex-Mrs. Robert Winfrey, Tanya Lamb of Lola Lamb Chops. Supergirl simultaneously tries too hard and not enough to be super. Millie Alcock is the best thing about it.
The second sentence is at least partially accurate.
Again, you take the sexist pigs out of this, and that's been pretty much universal, is that Millie Alcock is the best thing about this movie.
I have a feeling she's going to get a lot of praise when Man of Tomorrow comes out. I said she. I'm not predicting the movie itself will get a lot of praise. She.
I'm iffy on that proposition, but at this point, I think the only reason they're still going through with Man of Tomorrow is they're already shooting it. And
That is exactly where they're going through with this, but that is where this journey ends.
Unless it makes like $3 billion, yeah, we're done with this
Are you
thing after
smoking
that.
crack?
I said unless.
What are the odds of that happening, Robert?
Extraordinarily slim, but I'm not going to pretend there's zero.
Yes, if James Gunn also grows wings and flies, they might let him do another movie.
If they use my polymarket plot, then who knows?
You know what? Superman struggling with a gambling addiction would be the most relatable thing that could
Superman in a bar flicking peanuts. Let's get Superman 3 a go.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't we already have that?
Well, that was him as an alcoholic, not as a gambling degenerate.
Why can't we do both? Speaking of
Look,
gambling,
man, again, with the way we've commodified everything, he could just go around X-ray visioning people and going, "Okay, I bet you have cancer."
it just does it up on his fucking Kalshi. Speaking of drunk,
Yeah, so is that building gonna collapse? Well,
speaking of drunk gamblers, Doug Walker of Channel Awesome. Like its main character, the film seems drunk, lost, confused, and never seems to sober up.
Oh, I hate that Doug Walker made me laugh.
We all kind of do. Or
Uh,
maybe it's just me.
We prefer to put him out to pasture.
All right, Richard Krause of The Richard Krause, a 2.5 out of 5. Supergirl has an obvious affection not only for DC Comics, but also Star Wars, John Wick, and a handful of post-apocalyptic flicks, but allows those influences to get in the way of establishing a style of personality of its own.
Okay, is the shooting of Crypto is like? I love how many are like saying it's like, oh, it's so John Wick. Why? Because they shot the dog.
You wonder why I react to these movies the way I've been reacting.
Hang on. The allusions to John Wick are less about the dog being in peril and more about the second bar fight, which stylistically draws pretty heavily on the John Wick style choreography for the CGI mess that it is. Oh, that was the other thing. I didn't mention it, but some of the CGI is real bad. The scene where she's like dragging what's-his-nuts across the ground while flying looks like spaghetti. Just limp spaghetti noodles flopping around as they kick up dust. It's bad.
All right. Well, next week is the Minions. Robert and I will just have a grand old time, just bathing in whimsy.
Here's what's gonna happen, like, because the first Minions movie comes out, and I have a grand old time. And the first Despicable Me first, then the Minions,
And then there's
I
me,
have
who's
a
Martin Luther, who's like banging, the script to Inside Out on the door of the church.
I have a grand time with those movies. I talk about them. I defend them. I kind of get Mark to come around because initially Mark is like, what the heck are we supposed to do with this? It's these stupid yellow things. They're running around. They're speaking nonsense. And I'm an old man just yelling at clouds. I don't know what to do with all of this stuff. What are we doing?
We're Simpsons. We're Simpsons fans. We're used to stupid yellow things running around all over the place.
So I slowly, over the course of like 3 more movies, have brought Mark along to where now he is a fan of the Minions. And this is going to be the one that we come away from and I'm going, okay, we're done here.
We're just gonna
Just pack it up.
So we're just gonna show up next week and admit that whoever the hell is running things at Universal is officially the most competent person in Hollywood.
That is not
Look,
surprising in the least.
Universal has a fairly good, baseball team's record. They lose a lot
As
of
long
games.
as you ignore the dark universe.
They lose a lot of games. But they have a lot more wins than I think almost anybody else. The problem is, Disney...
They never make it to the postseason.
Disney will always have, one or two that... They'll lose every single movie, but 1 or 2 will make $1 billion, and it'll be the only studio that does it. Sony really hasn't made a big splash in a while, and every other fucking studio got bought up by another studio, so... Yeah.
I mean, Warner Brothers is going to be a subset of Paramount. MGM is now Amazon.
Yep. What do you call it? Fox is now Disney. I mean,
Yep.
10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, that was
At
always
this
a fun
point-
thing. Which studio was going to eke out a victory, and now there's 3 studios left.
Yep.
So, well, Ben, it was nice to have you here as always. Why don't you tell people where they can find all of your social medias and social security numbers and whatever else you got going on?
Okay, well, my social security number is... No, I'm not going to do that. But, yeah, you can, as it says on the little thing over here, I am Epic Benjamin J on all the things. That includes Twitter/X, for clarity's sake. Instagram, Threads, YouTube.
Are you still working on a comic?
So you didn't see the last show I was on.
No, I don't watch anything Alexis does.
I was going to say.
Comics done.
Oh,
It's right
good.
here.
Woohoo.
Okay.
Here's one and all, number 1. It is out. It is on sale. My website is still in limbo, so I can't link you to heroesonandall.com just yet because it's not up and running. But much like last time I was here, I do have this, and I'm going to leave this here for a little while in case anybody wants to scan it and buy a copy of the first issue of my comic. And
Mark,
Mark.
you
No,
asshole.
shit, no, leave me alone. I'm trying. That's what I was trying to do. You take that back. I was trying to help
Hold on,
him.
Ben.
you didn't do that out. You totally didn't do that on purpose.
More to your right. Little more. Little more. Right about back of hair.
Back and to the left.
Right there. I'm looking at the other. We have a vertical display, and now it's on.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm
No,
sorry.
you're good.
I totally wasn't even looking at that, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, actually, good thinking, Robert. I always hide the vertical display, so I wasn't even
Oh,
considering
you could
that.
hide
I would have
it,
been
I would, but
I would have been so annoyed when I watched that later and half the stupid QR code was cut off. So yes, thank you for that. But yeah, that's what this has been a long time coming. It's a good chunk of the last 9 or so years of my life, for better or worse, and it's out, and the few people that have bought it so far seem to enjoy it, and I'm hoping to do a lot more of this in the future. So if anybody is interested, you can scan here. You can buy a copy. heroesonandall.com will be up and running hopefully this week, but that's what I said last time I was on one of these, and that was 3 or 4 weeks ago. So, website hosting is annoying and tedious and frustrating, and I'm in the thick of trying to get all of that working. So please just, I'm asking y'all to be patient with me, and the website should have, some interesting things about it too, plus the ability to purchase copies. So stay tuned.
All right. Thank you, Ben. Alexis.
All right, well, I'll be back tomorrow night with Jesse Starcher and Sean Comer to talk The Amazing Digital Circus. Now that series is wrapped up, we got The Bear, the final season. Mark, you put that on the schedule already, right?
I did, and I've actually watched all of it. And I fucked up the count, so I didn't realize the last episode was the last episode as I was bawling my eyes out.
Oh,
like,
shit.
What else could they possibly do? And then I realized it was over, and I'm like, oh, nothing.
We also got, I need to get on the schedule, we got House of the Dragon, Avatar, the live action season 2, and as soon as it finishes, I'd love to get the Vampire Lestat also on there. I know Kat was interested in coming on and talking about that, so we can drool over Sam Reed. Oh my god. Sorry, I need my glam rock vampire fix. The man is hot. And as far as the plugs that pay me, hang on, I completely forgot to get that up on the screen. Probably should have done that already. There it is. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We got both of our stores up and running, Etsy and Handmade at Amazon.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, I just heard a beep. I was like, wait, what was that?
Dropped out for a second.
If you are a fan of the Amazing Digital Circus, go ahead and check out our shops. Our Pomni's Eyes earrings. These have been flying off the shelves. I am having trouble keeping these bad boys in stock. If you're more of a fan of something, say, Has Been Hotel, check out our Vox or Angel Dust earrings. Those are always crazy popular. I love that I have to title everything wooden tile because Amazon told me I'm not allowed to use the word Scrabble in any of my product descriptions. They're afraid they're going to get sued. And I have tried...
In fairness, Mattel pretty much desperately needs the money, so they would sue for that.
I actually tried reaching out to a rep at Hasbro, trying to get them to approve it, and I must have sent like 10 emails, and I never got a response from any of them.
Hasbro is at this point the caricature of evil corporation that everyone thinks they are. It's remarkable how they've done that to themselves, but they have.
Well, of course, if you're interested in our Game Geek jewelry made from various game pieces, we've got Clue tokens, Scrabble tiles, Monopoly, dominoes, dice, list goes on. Go ahead and check out our shops. Again, we're on Etsy or Handmade at Amazon. We are also on Facebook, Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. Again, that's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
Yesterday, myself and Jesse looked at the Savage Hawkman from the New 52, all 20 issues, 21 if you count the 0. We mostly talked about just the New 52, the good, the bad, and the ugly. This Thursday is Sessions. We will be taking the night that Robert and I destroyed the W2M network, and we will be making a Viking metal song out of it called We Were Northmen, or We Are Northmen. Next week we've got Minions on Monday, and then Thursday, because Jesse doesn't get enough politics in his life, we'll be talking K Street, the mini series.
Why would you do that to Jesse?
I think we've established I'm a masochist.
Okay, sadist. You're doing it to someone else.
Yeah, sadist.
No, we're the masochists.
Yeah. So that's what I got going on with me. What do you got going on with you, Robert?
I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling over at 411
Hang on.
Mania.
By the way, you getting irritated that they put the title on Sami Zayn? I refuse to engage with you about it anymore. It wasn't quite Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 30, but I didn't break into tears or anything. But I was happy for the guy. The kids,
You're allowed to be happy for him.
The kids in Saudi Arabia seem to enjoy it. He seemed to have finally gotten his Mick Foley Lifetime Achievement Award. Like, fucking Christ. Just let it be. Let it be happy.
I want Brock Lesnar to squash him on Friday and have the belt for when he fights Obafemi.
I'm fine with that as well. Go on.
Look, I'm not hugely interested in watching a homeless man who looks like he was just recently on fire carrying the WWE title around.
All right, I'm done arguing with you.
Anyway, a lot of my Sami Zayn antipathy is exaggerated for comedic effect, but I know this is a minority opinion. I don't care much for his work like 80% of the time. The most interesting he was when, God bless him, he extended the life of the Bloodline as a watchable product by a good 8 to 10 months.
Okay.
Without him, that would have become super tedious. With him, we got some great stuff out of it. And then it went on another year longer.
He was quite oozy.
Yeah, like, he was a great addition to that, and he made that fun for longer than it would have been without him. And bless him for it, I mean that. If Roman wasn't in the middle of a God run, Sami should have won the title at Elimination Chamber, held it until the next pay-per-view, and then lost it. Like, that's the kind of thing that should have happened then, but because when you have Roman hold the belt for 18 years, you can only beat him once. And Sami was not the guy to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, the SmackDown main event scene is also just bereft at the moment. I mean, we spent months building Orton and Cody for them to have a lackluster match, followed by Orton pissing off for months. Drew's still MIA because he's filming Highlander.
And apparently CM Punk's horse is ill.
I've been led to believe that.
Vince, I gotta go home. My horse is sick. Why are you talking like Terry Funk?
You have the worst Terry Funk impression I've ever heard, Mark.
I was CM Punk doing Terry Funk.
That's not going to save you.
Whatever. Move on.
Good grief.
It's my horse.
Oh, man. So I cover SmackDown on Fridays for WWE, which mercifully we're back to just 2 hours this week. It's been 3 hours for so long, and for so much of it, they have not had the roster or the booking to sustain a 3-hour weekly broadcast. Hopefully 2 hours will help fix that, but SmackDown needs help. Like, Cody hasn't had a good foil since Mania. We imported Gunther. We just ended the Temu Bloodline segment with a backstage bit that lasted all of like 40 seconds. We've spent like a year and a half with that group taking up multiple segments of airtime. And it ends with a fart in the wind, basically, is how that concluded. Yeah, somehow they've screwed up Trick Williams. They decided him being face was a good idea when no, let him be heel. Oh, but people are cheering him. So what? Let him be a heel. Don't let him pander. Let him be himself. If they cheer him, they cheer him.
The best thing about Trick Williams is when I'm watching wrestling with my kids, we all just scream Little Yachty over and over again.
And he is dragging around diminutive watercraft, yes.
Oh, Little Yachty! No! Just Mike, it's so funny. Like, I'll do something, and my kids will always at start first. They'll just look at me like, "Why are you this way?" And then sooner or later, I just like I do everybody else. I just win them over. And now they're just with me, like, "Well, my son, well, yacht," like it's like, you know, a streetcar named Desire, Little Yachty.
Sammy, Ricky Saints hits him once with a mic, and just the Rattledge household devolves into the wails and gnashing of teeth and donning of sackcloth,
tearing our clothes, the whole 9 yards.
So Trick needs something to do. He's got the U.S. title, but he's not doing anything with it. Tiffany Stratton is stuck feuding with Jade, whose flunkies are getting time and attention, and BFAB is still the least talented member of Hit Row, but for some reason she's stuck around. Rhea Ripley's still out with a knee injury. The tag team division doesn't exist. The champions are Damian Priest and R-Truth.
All right, let's go.
Okay. So SmackDown's back to 2 hours. We'll see what happens after Night of Champions. That should be something. I covered AEW and New Japan's Forbidden Door event on Sunday, which the whiplash from WWE presentation to AEW's presentation is very real. They are diametrically opposed. AEW a little bit too far on the other side. There's always like 3 matches that can be off of any given AEW pay-per-view, and then we're not there for 7 hours. Would have been nice. But my full report for that is in the Wrestling Zone to 411mania.com. The UFC event on Saturday was from Azerbaijan, headlined by Rafael Fiziev wheel-kicking Miguel Torres, so that was a good time. There was a guy who bit somebody and didn't get called on it. There was hair pulling. Rules are not a thing in MMA. I wish I was joking, man, but a one-eyed fighter from bottom grabbed the ponytail of the Brazilian man on top of him to stop from being elbowed, and the referee looked at that and went, nah, it'll be fine.
Great.
I don't know what to do with myself. I've made terrible life choices. There is no UFC event this Saturday because it's the 4th of July, but the week after that is International Fight Week, headlined by the rematch, 20 years in the making, almost 20, I only mildly exaggerate, between Max Holloway and Conor McGregor, allegedly.
I know, you hate Conor McGregor and everything he stands for.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of coked out people raping women. Who'd have thought?
Hot take, Robert Winfrey.
They could have cast him as the villain in this one. It would have been...
And just
He
let
was in
him the way
Roadhouse. He
was.
could have done it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you wouldn't have had to put a costume on or anything. Just let him be Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor killed my entire family. I believe you.
So that'll be coming up. If you want my full review of the previous event, I host the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. That's late Sunday night / early Monday morning. This last one was short because I was incredibly tired between getting up early and then working the AW event for 6 hours, and then, yeah, it was a lot. So that one's shorter, and yeah, this next one will preview the McGregor-Holloway card, which, in all honesty, like my antipathy for McGregor aside, it's a good card. So tune in for that. Mark mentioned it, Minions next week, where he and I will frolic in the field.
If you've been waiting, just dying waiting for Damn You Hollywood to be in any way positive, you're finally going to get it with Minions.
Mark will wear not a black shirt on his black background. His soul will be lightened.
I wish I had media-trained professionals to work with. That said...
I'm talking about it as a representation of your soul, Mark. I'm not complaining about your production choices.
And this is what I have to work with. You've been an absolute joy, and you are welcome back at any time. I enjoy your insights and your candor and demeanor.
This is only because I'm not drinking today, so...
Every one of you stinks. Be well, be safe, and behave.